I'm Chris.
I'm Adrian.
And I'm Jimmy.
Welcome to Worldview Finder Podcast, episode 51.
Do you normally say podcast?
Welcome to Worldview Finder. Did I say the wrong podcast?
We did it. Oh,
We did it.
Hey guys, we did it. We're at episode 51. We're here. Hey, we got some good stuff going on today.
What are we talking about?
We're going to talk about possibly the best movie about mental health we've ever seen.
You said it. Just got to be.
Why you shouldn't troll
Right
people
here.
online, the crazy Florida effect of what might happen if you do. And what if roosters ruled the roost? Some book
roost.
Adrian's reading Lord of the Rings with chickens or something. I don't even know. It's gonna be
That's a better.
Lord of the Rings with
Lord of the Rings
chickens.
with chickens is all you need to know, and you will stick around.
Oh man! But first, I just want. It's been a couple weeks. We've been had a weird schedule because of all the things with vacations and technical difficulties of getting the last podcast posted. So it's there. Go watch it. It's great. But I just want to know what you guys have been watching or reading or anything like that. Stuff we may talk about later on a later episode, but just stuff that has tickled your fancy, as they say.
That's gross.
In England.
Maybe we can talk about that on this podcast.
Right. Well, Jimmy, what have you been watching? Or listening to, reading, or?
So I have been listening to quite a few podcasts. So I went on vacation to South Carolina, and I was driving for 12 hours.
Bragger.
Because I get car sick, and so I drove for the entire 12 hours and then 12 hours back. And my wife, Malia, slept for a little bit of it. So I listened to podcasts. I've been listening to this guy named Dr. K on YouTube.
Dr. K.
Does he have any cool? Yeah, I feel like for a while there you would bring us bits of wisdom or weird philosophies.
I'm pretty sure Dr. K is the off-brand of Kroger soda.
It's not him. No,
I drink Dr. K.
He's an Indian psychiatrist, but he's also a content creator. And he works with entrepreneurs and works with gamers. He's got a channel called Healthy Gamer, actually.
Oh.
But he was talking to this guy, and basically he takes these influencers and does a live stream of a therapy session for them. So he was going back to this guy's childhood and through this hour and 45-minute podcast showing kind of the root of all his problems. Oh. And it was very, very enlightening.
And the people on the show don't know they're being recorded for a podcast.
No, they do. They sign up for it. But because for him, he was kind of workaholic, where he was a super successful live streamer, and then now he had started 7 businesses on top of that.
Dr. K or this other guy?
This other guy that he was giving the therapy session to. And he's like, I'm working 24/7, and even if I do take a break, I feel like I need to be working, and I just feel terrible if I'm not working. Oh. And he said it's been going on for years and years and years. And spoiler alert, kind of what it stemmed from was he was diagnosed with ADHD when he was younger, and from a very young age, he had this view that he was kind of fundamentally flawed. And out of that, he really liked to make people laugh. That was one of the things. And then he also was trying to be as successful as possible. And then over this whole thing, he was seeing that, okay, the root of why I'm doing all this is actually because I think I'm not good enough. And everything I'm doing is stemming from that.
Sweet.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Actually, this is a good discussion for another podcast because I watched Remembering Gene Wilder, the Gene Wilder documentary.
I don't remember him.
So Gene Wilder's great. He was the original Willy Wonka.
Okay, I thought he might be.
Yeah.
He was also in Blazing Saddles. He was in Young Frankenstein. He's just done a lot of stuff through the years. Very great comedic actor and just interesting. Yeah, it's on Netflix. It was interesting. There's a few F words towards the end because they show some of his movie clips and
say them all at once.
There's some bad words, yeah, but just towards the end, which was. I don't know, just later in his career, just cussed a lot.
As you do.
But there's some stuff about his childhood of why he was the actor that he was. But I'm not going to get into all that detail because this was just supposed to be, hey, what were you watching and listening to?
Jeez,
not the deep dive.
I know,
it's fine. You can speed through it.
And I also finished Red Rising.
Okay,
listened
good.
to that on book tape, as they say.
Book tape.
And
to our listeners that are below the age of 45.
I know what that
It's
is.
an audiobook.
What are you watching?
Watched or listening to
Oh
anything?
gosh, you know what? I revisited. This was a fun one for me. They played the extended versions of The Lord of the Rings in the
with
theaters.
chickens?
Oh, in the theaters.
Chickens. It was off brand.
It's the
It's
Colonel
like
saying
Veggie Tales, Lord of the Beans.
Oh, nice. Extended version.
Yeah,
Okay.
the extended version of Lord of the Beans. No, so a friend of ours they had never seen Lord of the Rings before, so we watched the first 2 with them and then took them to see the extended version of the Return of the King in the theater.
Wow.
And it was a night to remember.
Interesting.
It was great.
It took all night to watch. It was a 4-hour movie.
It was literally a 4-hour movie.
Did they have intermission?
Nope.
Oh, man.
So you knew like the seasoned people who were like big fans because we all left the theater at the same time to go to the bathroom because we knew it was like not it was like a boring
This
part.
is a low point.
Like, okay, this is a good time
I
to
thought
go.
you said you knew the season fans because they crinkled when they walk in from their diapers. They're like, I'm not leaving. I'm staying in this seat.
I'm staying this whole time.
Oh, goodness.
But it was a really fun experience. And then I ended up listening to Andy Serkis, who plays Gollum. I listened to him read the Fellowship of the Ring, and so I'm like resaturated into
Back
Lord
in
of the
Lord
Rings.
My
world.
wife's listening to the Indie Circus versions of
It was so good.
Lord of the Rings.
Never saw it.
He sings all the songs and
Yeah.
does all the voices and all that stuff. So, all right, let's jump into what we're talking about this week.
Let's do it.
Is this the best movie about mental health? Jimmy and I saw a movie. Not together. But,
Separately.
I'm really glad you guys both felt super strongly to clarify that.
yeah, because people might think things. All right, so we're friends outside of this podcast.
Yeah.
I did not talk to him at all. We saw Inside Out too. Have you seen it yet?
No, I have not.
Okay, well, we're going to spoil it for you.
Okay.
So yeah, spoiler. We'll talk about some things that are spoilerish. Ish, I guess, or completely spoiler. But yeah. So
I
initial
didn't
thoughts.
sign up for this.
Good or bad? Oh, do you not want to hear it?
No, it's okay.
You're gonna hear it.
That first movie scarred me for life. I
Really?
need to be ready
Wait, why did the first movie scar you for life?
because it was so sad.
Why?
Because Bing Bong died.
Yeah.
Bing bong.
Well,
Hey,
It's like the
spoiler.
loss.
Hey, we didn't say spoiler for the
Spoiler
first
for
one.
Inside Out
the
1.
You haven't
loss
seen the
of,
first one.
childhood innocence and things.
Oh
like
man,
it.
buckle up, Buttercup.
Yeah.
I
If you
know.
thought Bing Bong was bad, wait till you meet. What was the guy's name?
Oh, Bouchie.
Pouchy.
Oh
Okay.
no, I'm not prepared.
Actually, that was the funniest. That was a fantastic part of the movie. So, yeah, your
Initial thoughts, yeah. So I thought it was good. I'm a big fan of the animated movies. Me and Malia, it was funny because we saw it together. We don't have any kids, but like 95% of all the people in the theaters were parents with their small children.
They kept looking back at them like, "Why are you here?"
Why are you
Yeah.
here? Where are your children? This is baby show. But we really liked
Straight
it.
to jail.
Straight to jail. And so we liked it. And I do think it did a good job of kind of putting to pictures a lot of what people experience and giving some language to that.
Yeah.
So, and I think it had a good story. So
yeah, the overall plot. So Riley is still
That's the
there.
girl.
She's now a
teen.
She's 13, about to be a freshman, and so her and her two best friends get invited to hockey camp for the high schoolers, and so they're like, "Oh, this is a big deal for us." And so on the way there, she finds out that her two best friends are going to be going to a different high school.
It's a big deal.
So then like the rest of the plot is her trying to like fit in with the older high school like hockey team girls that she like very much idolizes and looks up to. But so I felt that was kind of the typical. Like that story seems like it's been told a lot. Like, here's my old friends, but I want to be cool and fit in with the older crowd, and so I'm going to be mean, and not necessarily mean to, but a little bit to her old friends, and then
Standoffish.
yeah. But a lot of times though, that the other people that they're trying to reach out to are mean and bad girls and all that.
Right.
And that's not the case here. Like the person that she looked up to, Val, was very like friendly, and so were her friends and all that stuff. But the inside. So one of the things, yeah. So there's a puberty button, and I think that was installed at the end of the first one. Don't they do that at the very like the after
It's been a while
credits
since I saw the first
or something
one.
like, what is this button? And so basically, like the puberty alarm goes off, and then like they come in and reset the board and all this stuff. But some new emotions show up, and one of those is anxiety, voiced by Maya Hawke, who does a very good job. But the anxiety is like, okay, we're just worried about our future. We're thinking about our future. We're trying to get all this stuff done. And so when the Val girl's like, hey, come hang out with us, and then she like looks at her friends and she's like, if I don't make friends with them, then I'm not gonna have any friends. And so then it's forming these core beliefs. Like that was the thing about this one. There's beliefs now. So your emotions can lead to certain beliefs, and so anxiety is like putting all these new beliefs in her that lead to core beliefs. And so
That's good.
Yeah, I know it was super like cool how they animated and all that stuff. But one of her core beliefs is I'm a good person. And so then as anxiety's coming in, like there's new things coming in and all this stuff. But oh man, I there's like one key point that I don't know if I should spoil or not, but you learn this from the beginning though, that Joy has been like suppressing some of the memories. So she's like, oh, we'll just put these in the back of the mind. Like these aren't important, they don't matter. But then you find out that maybe they do matter. And so okay, I probably connected better with this one than the last one, just because I do have a daughter that is now 13, like Riley in there. And so it's like actually helped to even have some of those conversations about like what she's feeling and all that stuff. And one of the new, did you like ennui?
I had never heard of ennui.
Yeah. So
do you know what that is, Adrian?
Ennui.
Am I just uneducated?
I don't think I could
define what it is,
but I have like a
you've heard of
general cloud of understanding.
Yeah, and that's like,
for all the people, what does it mean?
It's sort of boredom, but it's like,
is there a dictionary definition?
Yeah, ennui, emotion, a feeling of weariness and dissatisfaction, boredom. So the ennui character would be like, oh, that's so dumb, like whatever, like just kind of these like you act like you don't care, but there is like caring behind it, but you're just like you're acting like you're too cool for school, that kind of thing. And then embarrassment was in there. So there were some new elements or new emotions into the story. But so worldview is that your emotions can lie to you about what you believe about yourself. And I thought that was a really interesting take on it. I'm gonna cough.
Bless you.
Excuse me, everybody. So, but one of the because a lot of times our emotions dictate a lot of who we are, especially in teenage years and stuff like that. Like, oh man, I feel this, and so therefore this must be true. It's like, no, your feelings, facts aren't feelings, as somebody says. But it's that idea of like, just because I feel this way doesn't mean this is true. And so anxiety kind of takes over in her life and is like, okay, if I don't do this, then this person's not going to like me. And if I don't dress this way, if I act like I like this thing that's kind of kiddish, then they're going to disrespect me. And so I have to act like I don't like this thing, even though I might. And one of the small things is like they call her Michigan, but she's from Minnesota. And so, but she doesn't correct it because she doesn't want to like, oh, that's wrong. And like, she doesn't want her first impression to this girl to be like, oh, I'm wrong. So they call her Michigan. Like her like new friends are calling her Michigan, and she doesn't correct them because she's like, I don't want to correct them because then they won't like me because there's like, oh, she's what. And so it's just funny. Like I love the inner monologue of like what is actually like you're feeling and thinking. And so you're forming these thoughts.
So
and emotions.
is there any sort of, I feel like Disney does this where there's commentary on like what's happening, the worldview that's happening in our world right now, which is like you living your true self. Mm-hmm. And I would think that would be in a movie like this because it's Pixar, Disney, emotions, feelings. But it sounds like what you're saying is like our emotions could lie to us.
Yeah. So.
So
I don't want to spoil, but go ahead.
Yeah. So I think it is not necessarily going in that direction. I think the whole premise of the movie, it was you'll have different experience happen, and then that will create a certain emotion, and those different core memories or core beliefs, they will start to become beliefs. And then it's almost like a tree, like that's one root from the tree, and what that is all kind of a picture of is all those beliefs put together is your sense of self, who you kind of see yourself to be. And like Chris was saying, Joy was kind of suppressing it where, well, let's only focus on the good and just kick all the bad and all the unnecessary ones just to the back of the mind. And so then Riley only saw herself as only the good person. But then when anxiety, when embarrassment, when all these other ones come in, then she starts to kind of wrestle with it. And it was also a very good, because I mean, in my day-to-day life, it's not like you have one emotion and a certain experience. You constantly are going through different emotions.
Yeah.
And it showed when Riley first went through puberty, like her mom woke her up first thing in the morning, and in like the span of like 2 minutes, she went through like 5 or 6 different emotions.
She's mad, and then she's like, oh, sorry, I shouldn't have said that. Like it just goes.
She's like all over the place. But I mean, for my own life, you can see yourself in that.
Yeah. So there are those beliefs that form the core belief, and her core belief was I'm a good person.
Yeah.
But then when anxiety came in and she was doing things that went against that core belief of I'm a good person, she didn't have the bandwidth to like understand why I'm feeling these other things or why I'm doing these things that go against my core belief of who I am. And so it was like, oh, maybe I'm not a good person. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm like, and all these little things started coming in that kind of got rid of that core belief of I'm a good person of like, and transformed it.
Was it saying that I'm a good person is like everybody's core belief? Or was that just specific to Riley?
Because the scene is like where she like kind of comes into that realization is like this girl that was kind of unpopular dropped some stuff and people were laughing at her. And then she was like, oh, do I stand up? And like, yeah, even her emotions like, if you stand up, that'll ruin us for life. And so, but then she's like, I'm a good person. Because her like those little roots were like, I'm a good friend or I help people and things like that. And so she stood up and went, and then that core belief of I'm a good person came from that. And so apart from Jesus, I don't believe we're good people. So
I was going to say, like, how does that line up with the worldview of like, is a core value or core belief, I'm a good person? Is that a Christian worldview? Because
I would say, because I don't know that everybody else felt that about themselves. But I think people believe that about themselves. Yeah. I don't think everybody thinks like I'm a bad person. I'm an evil person. But
so I think because obviously you have kind of the emotions and mental health, but I do think that a core kind of part of the movie was talking about your identity. There's two things that it kind of brought up for me. Is one, the perfect picture of it was the James Clear quote: "Is every action is a vote for the person you want to become." So every small belief, every experience, every time you do something, that is a vote for the person you want to become. So as she was kind of letting anxiety drive and doing these things that were typically out of character, then there'd be some resistance because that's not your identity. But if you do that long enough, then you start seeing yourself as this person who is not a good person. And the really weird thing about kind of how you see yourself and how you act is even if you try to change your behavior in a positive way, you will push against that if you don't think you're that kind of person. So say that you have bad habits or you think yourself as a certain person. If you try to do something good and change it, you'll feel this inner resistance because you're like, well, that's not who I am, or well, people think that I'm like being fake or something like this. So you won't actually do these better things because of who you see yourself to be, which is very interesting. I think it did the emotions, but also kind of figuring out. So from a Christian worldview, I think that's where you really have to figure out where's your core identity come from.
Right. And there's those small roots of, apart from Christ, I'm not a good person, but in Christ, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So I think like for me, as I grow in my faith, like there's those almost Bible verses that kind of like, oh, this is who I am. Like I'm apart from Jesus, I don't do good and things like that. But when I'm in Christ, then I can do those. Man.
Chris is coughing again. He's not had his coffee today.
I had too much coffee.
Yeah, that's usually what does it.
So we wrap this up. But I thought it was good because at the end, though, that core belief of like I'm a good person was kind of balanced by these other things that she believed about herself. And so there's like this, okay, but I also don't do good things all the time. But they don't solve that by being like, and Riley went to church and realized that she needed Jesus to combat those other thoughts. But
so kind of the core takeaway was that you're going to have negative emotions, you're going to have things, and you shouldn't just shy away from those and suppress them because they're not positive. You be like, well, yes, I'm a good person sometimes, I'm kind sometimes, but there's also other times where I'm mean and I'm selfish. Mm-hmm. And realizing that yourself as a person is a lot more complex than just looking at all the good or just looking at all the bad.
Yeah. So I recommend it. I think it was great. There's not, I don't think there's any agenda stuff.
Oh, Chris is on the struggle bus this morning. If anyone could grab us some water from the comments section.
I might need, I don't know if we're going to pause it or not, but I may need to grab some water. But, so I wanted to ask a question. Is there any weird memories that you have from childhood that you're like, why do I have this like odd memory of like just something that's random or anything like that?
Oh, that I like want to suppress.
Not that you want to suppress, but you're like an early memory. You're like, that's just a weird early memory.
Okay, Chris is going to get some water.
Am I going to go? Yeah, you guys talk about that. I'm going to grab water.
Adrian, tell us about your early memories.
Oh, well, I haven't had time to think about an early. Oh, yeah. Okay. So my dad and I were on a bowling league, a father-daughter bowling league every Saturday. And he would take me to breakfast afterward. Mm-hmm. And so one day he took me to breakfast and I was at Sirloin Stockade.
What is that?
It used to be across from Red Lobster.
Is that a restaurant?
Yeah, it was.
Sirloin Stock, and you went for breakfast?
Yeah, it was like a buffet place.
Oh, okay, I thought it like only had steak.
It was like, well, I know it sounds like it should, but they had a breakfast buffet. Anyways, we went afterward, and I remember going to the bathroom to wash my hands and looking down, and I still had my bowling shoes on.
Oh my goodness!
Like from the bowling alley. So
how did you feel? Did you because you stole them?
Right. I felt like I was a young kid, so I felt like weird because that meant I had left my shoes there. And
all these things are going through your head.
Yeah,
like, what does my life come to?
Right. I was a young impressionable kid.
So you're in the Sirloin place for breakfast with stolen bowling shoes.
Yeah, the police came and got me while I was eating.
Oh my goodness.
So no, so that's just something that lives in my head sometimes.
Rent free?
Yeah, lives rent free in my head.
Will the title of this episode be Chris Gets Choked Up talking about Inside Out 2?
Yes, literally. That's a good one. Write that down. So do you have any core childhood memories that are stuck in your head written for you, Chris?
I have one with me and Chris.
Oh, yeah.
We really liked this chocolate milk name called Chug.
Chug. I love Chug.
And so we would, every once in a while, we'd always be like, Chug, and say it weird. But then there was one night where, this is a good memory, I was having a really bad night. And you were like, you want to go for a drive and get some Chug?
Get some Chug.
So we just drove around and talked and
drank Chug?
Drank chocolate milk.
That's a core memory. Look at Chris. You need some Chug right now.
I know. Something to coat my throat.
I don't have any childhood memories, so I think they're all suppressed.
He's suppressed everything.
That's true.
Yeah, I do remember what you said about stealing. That I remember being at a grocery store, and they have they used to have cookies sitting out, like they were like the fresh baked ones from the, and a lot of times they would give you a free one,
yeah,
like at Schnucks or whatever. But I think this was before I knew that, and so I was like, oh, a cookie, and I took one. They put them out here for a reason, but knowing that it wasn't right.
You dirty dog. So that's when your thievery started.
That's
but you
when
still get a free
settled in.
cookie or whatever.
It's like the SpongeBob episode where they stole a balloon, but it was they didn't realize it was free balloon day. So then they just felt terrible. You stole on free balloon day. Like they went to jail. They shut the prison doors for just a second and then let them out. But we broke the law.
So here's a weird memory. It's around Jurassic Park. Adrian has a memory about that. But I went to see Jurassic Park with my dad, and I think it was the first PG-13 movie I'd maybe seen in theaters or ever. And so we're sitting there, and the beginning is kind of slow or whatever. And then I just remember at one point my dad leans over and goes, "It's about to get PG-13.
Oh gosh!
You remember that line? I don't know why that just stays in my that memory plays written for you.
My goodness!
Oh my goodness!
Well, I haven't said that to my kids yet. I need to start doing that. When we're
it's about to get PG-13.
Have you watched PG-13 movies with your kids?
Yeah, we watched The Mummy with them.
Was that PG-13?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
A few weeks ago. So I should have been
you should use that line.
It's
about to get PG-13.
Oh my goodness!
That was so good.
That's such a good line.
That's such a dad thing to say.
That
is true.
It's about to get PG-13 up in this mug. All right.
Is it time for or are we going?
Yeah. It's time for Florida Fables. All right. This is why you shouldn't troll people online.
Crazy things have happened.
Yeah.
And this is recent, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's the 24th. We're recording this on the 25th. So, New Jersey man allegedly flew to Florida to attack a fellow gamer.
Wow.
This is Sheriff. Is that the fellow gamer or the Sheriff? So they're playing this online game. I hadn't heard of it, and it's a Korean game. And so...
League of Legends.
It's not League of Legends.
I've not heard of that one.
All right, so... so he flies down from New Jersey, tells his family, hey, I'm going to go meet one of my friends that they've met online, played games online, didn't know him in person, flies down there, stays in a hotel near his house, buys a hammer and a flashlight, and then
because you can't take him on a plane,
breaks into his house through a window and just waits for the guy to go to the bathroom like during his gaming session, and then attacks him with a hammer.
Jeez.
He really does attack him?
Yeah, he assaulted him with a hammer, and then the guy
goodness.
fought him off and was yelling, and then the guy's stepdad came out and they subdued the guy until the cops came and showed up. But when asked about a motive,
crazy if you just get attacked in your own home on the way to the bathroom.
In my own dojo.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that would be
Well,
crazy.
even if you're
That's why we're telling the story.
I know, but if you're the stepdad and you're just you hear yelling, all of a sudden there's a dude in your house with a hammer.
Yeah.
Maybe he just thought he was yelling at the game again.
Yeah, maybe. So when asked about a motive in the assault, Kang, this is the guy that allegedly told the deputies that the victim is a bad person online.
See?
So when you troll people, you never know. One of the best SNL skits I've ever seen was it was a kind of a game show type thing, and they had these YouTube commenters on there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this video of this girl singing. You said I hope your vocal cord, I hope you go hoarse and it can never sing again or whatever." And he's like, "Yeah, man, she was stupid or whatever." He's like, "Hey, we brought her here," and they're like, and they're like, "You said you should go kill yourself. Here's the person you said that to," and they're like, "Can I go home?" And I was like, "No, you said it to them. Say it to their face." He's like, "I'm sorry," but yeah, and so. Being that's the thing with the online world, it's weird because you can say things that you feel like.
Oh yeah, I mean
you can't say things, but people do.
When I was in my formative years of junior high, when I played Call of Duty after school every day, those 12-year-olds on there, they were ruthless. That was the whole culture of just. They would say the craziest things. And then I think I bet I know what happened in here was one of the things when I was playing Call of Duty was you drive someone crazy is you could trap someone in a corner if they were on your team. If they were in a corner and you stood in front of them, they just couldn't move.
Oh, man.
So then as long as you stayed there for that entire game, they were basically trapped in that corner. And people got so mad. This is not a new thing. There was another one it was probably a couple years ago, but a guy was playing Counter-Strike. It was a first-person shooter, and this guy stabbed him in the game, and then he flew to the guy's house and stabbed him in real life.
You get that far into the game, yeah. Don't do that. But
don't do it.
So the game is Arc Age.
Arc Age.
Has there been a time where you've felt like video game and real life have overlapped?
Have overlapped?
I've gotten slapped over a video game. I think I've told the story.
You deserved it.
No, I don't know this.
I slapped him.
Yeah. In college, I was playing a game. It was a very violent game called Animal Crossing. And,
Seriously, Animal Crossing?
I know I've told this story before.
No, I have not heard this.
So I was playing this game, and then in that game you could switch memory cards, and so you could go visit somebody else's town or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And the in-game currency in that game is bells. So I went to that person's village, and and they had buried a bunch of bells instead of turning them into the bank. Yeah. And so afterward, because sometimes in the game there would be bells there's a little glowing.
They're trying to plant a money tree.
Yeah, you could do that and stuff. And so, after I played his game, I came out and I was like, dude. There was so much gold in the game.
My goodness.
And I used it to pay off my house and all this stuff, and just kind of joking around. I got all this gold.
You didn't really do it. You just.
I didn't really do it. I was just joking, and the guy was like, "That was you what?" And then just open hand slaps me the hardest I've ever been hit by a human being right in the face. And I was like, dude, you better walk away right now. I was like, just walk away. And then later I came in, I'm like, all right, after I calmed down, I was like, okay, first of all, it's a video game. I said,
listen, you don't understand how much time and effort people put in this. People will kill you.
I know. And I said, secondly, I was like, it was a joke, and I said,
"It's just a prank, bro. It's just a prank."
I could understand if you got mad in the sense that, if I was like, "Ha, I stole all your money and paid off my house." Yeah. I can understand that. I was like, but you didn't even ask me about it.
You don't ask questions.
And I was like, third, it's a video game. I was like,
and then he slapped you again.
How dare you? But it was.
Did he apologize?
Oh yeah. And so it was all good. But
wait, but it would have gone differently if you actually had taken his bells. You would have died.
I might have.
You might not be here today.
I would have to earn them and then give them to him. But it was just oh man, I found all this money and paid off my stuff. He's like,
Wow.
Historically, people get very angry at video games, so I'm not surprised.
All right, so this guy, he asked how much jail time he would receive for breaking and entering an assault, and then the detective said, "I would say, Mr. King, it'll be a long time before you play video games."
So he sounded like.
I love it. That's the closing line.
And he looked at the camera and broke the fourth wall.
Yeah.
And pulls off his glasses.
And the credits roll.
I mean, that is a 100% a Brooklyn Nine-Nine scene.
Yeah, I would say it's a long time before you'll play video games. Oh, I forgot. This is real police work. So what about you? Like, has there been a time you've gotten so mad in a video game that you've done something in the real world?
My brother was more of that. Like, he was the kind of person where he kicked a hole in the bottom of his door, the way through, and then he would break controllers and he would break chairs and stuff like that.
Sheesh.
And that was just playing FIFA. So we
my.
were playing soccer.
He grows up to be those people who flip cars when their real teams lose.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Probably they riot in the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he took it very seriously. I wasn't super ragey. I don't get very angry very easily. So.
Did you do anything?
No, I get super competitive, but I have some self-control, I guess.
You have some
I
self-control.
remember in college you would beat the guys at Mario Kart and just roast them.
I would.
Oh, Adrian.
She would talk trash and then beat them.
And they'd be like, "Oh, you're a girl who plays video games." And I'd be like, "Let's have a tournament. I'll beat you."
Let's
all."
have a tournament.
And I would.
Mario Kart 64. Just leave them in the dust.
Oh, goodness.
That's my sister.
No, I do remember this wasn't a rage thing, but we played Crash Breakers, or what it was called?
Crash
Oh,
Bandicoot.
no,
What?
Burnout.
Burnout? Is that what it was called?
No Revenge.
It's Burnout. It wasn't Revenge, but it was one of those. Maybe it was Revenge.
Like the car game?
Yeah.
Where you try to get so much money, by crashing.
The mode was called Crash Breakers.
Yeah.
We would just go, Crash Breakers!
Yeah, because I was like, we said Crash Breakers.
Yeah. So Burnout was the
And
game.
so there was one night, though, we played it for so long. And then the next day we were driving, and I was like, if you rammed the car over this part right now, you would hit the semi-truck.
You would get so much money.
Yeah, because the point of the game was to just cause such mayhem and a wreck. Like you're trying to make a
cause
dollar amount.
the most amount of damage. Yeah. And so I just remember driving and thinking what if we did this? Anyway.
Yeah, I think it's a thing where you're driving and you have just a little bit of an urge to go into the other lane and kill everyone.
See what happens. Just a little bit of an urge.
After playing that game, yeah, for sure.
Oh my goodness.
Let's do this.
All right, Adrian.
Tell us about those chickens.
What if Lord of the Rings were chickens?
Judgy.
Yeah, we are. Could you read the dumbest stuff?
Lord of the Coop. I did not read the dumbest stuff.
What did you read?
What was the name of the book?
Okay, the book is called...
Wait for it.
Listen, okay, it's called The Book of the Dun Cow.
The Dumb Cow.
D-U-N. You guys are stupid. You're not educated enough to enjoy this book.
Oh, man, burn. Oh, Adrian, settle down.
So what is this book about, Adrian?
The word dun is actually a color for gray brown. So
only the most exciting color.
Yeah.
My favorite color is gray
this
brown.
book is about a gray brown cow.
A gay brown cow.
Gray brown cow.
Okay. Okay, but the dun cow is actually a mythological creature in England, where it had unending milk, and then one day a witch tried to it would fill up your bucket for you.
Okay.
And one day a witch came and put a sieve underneath it, and it couldn't fill it up. So
what is a sieve?
It's a little thing with holes in it.
Yeah, like a sifter thing.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so the cow got mad and rampaged the village. So that's a folk tale. But anyways, this book is it's one that I'd come recommending. It's written by a Christian author named Walter Wingren Jr. But fun fact, looked him up after I read the book. He was a professor at University of Evansville.
Oh,
really?
In
And
England.
if you're watching this podcast,
English professor.
Did he also write a book about Paul, the Apostle Paul?
He did.
I have that book.
You have that book. Okay, so it's written. So don't trash my books. You have stuff written by him already.
Paul, the subtitle is
but this
A Gray Brown Man.
This book is interesting because it is one that is not used very often, but it's called a beast fable.
Oh.
So it's where the entire cast is animals.
Chickens.
Yeah, and they represent some part of humanity. And so I would say when I was reading it, I felt like it was a cross between like Pilgrim's Progress and a little bit of like Animal Farm, just because of all the animals. But I actually haven't read the book, so I don't know how that compares.
You ever read Animal Farm?
No.
I haven't either. I was supposed to.
You guys.
And a bit like Lord of the Rings, because while it's kind of allegorical for in nature for like sin and it's definitely like they talk to God like in the book and stuff. So it's a Christian worldview. Not one person represents. It's not like or animal, I guess. It's not like this animal is Christ and this animal is whoever. So yeah, it's just about a rooster who like he rules this part of the land, and he at first it kind of has contempt for his job and his position, but he's still trying to like talk to God about it. And then there's another like area that's part of the land that's ruled by another rooster, and he lets this like inner talk kind of get to him, and you actually find out that it's a gigantic worm under the ground.
That makes sense.
That is like seeping lies up into the earth, and he's listening to it.
Give him a worm tongue.
Yes, something related to that. And so then he becomes this like evil and all this stuff. So it's like
basically Inside Out too.
Epic. Yes.
But in space.
So you kind of see what happens. Like you've got one rooster in his journey to becoming like the protector of his land. And it's kind of supposed to give you that sense, like Lord of the Rings, of like there's a king that needs to rise up.
Yeah.
And
is it the Burger King? The dun cow. BK.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yep,
Okay. So the cow's rising to power.
No, there's the cow's in it very little actually, but
so it should be the Book of the Rooster.
I believe the cow actually represents the Holy Spirit.
Oh,
that's what I got from it. But it's up to the reader's interpretation. But so it is a weird read. I would say.
Sounds like a weird read.
Yeah, I mean you've got roosters and
Once
hens
the worm
and dogs.
monster came.
She got mad at us for saying it's a weird book, and then she's like, "Well, it's a weird book." Yeah. Like, well, we just said that.
Yes, but you were saying it's weird for different reasons.
Yeah, because you read weird books.
But anyways, I would recommend it.
So with that, because you said the one bad rooster, it was where that kind of started was the lies that were coming from the worm monster. Mm-hmm. So what was the
world's lies?
Yep. Yes. The good rooster. Where were the actions? What was that kind of motivated by? Do you know?
Well, he really was like praying. So he like the church, especially like this book has a lot of medieval kind of draws to it. There's a lot of fable creatures in the book that are actually medieval fable creatures, like in real life.
Real life fable creatures.
I mean, like,
I know. The real fable creatures in real life.
There's like characters from Chaucer's Canterbury Tales or whatever that are represented in these.
Okay.
So he is like, he crows like on the hours, and he views them as like the medieval church bells, like to keep the time of the day, because there weren't any clocks back then. So the church was actually the center of the village, and it would keep people rooted and grounded, but also at every like time that the bells rang, it would also point them to God, because it was like the church
Reminder.
Yeah, so it was like this kind of
1 o'clock,
grounding
it was cock-a-doodle-doo.
Okay.
Cock-a-doodle-doo-doo for 2 o'clock.
Okay, so
I think that's how that works.
So he viewed them as this like ritual, this of like I'm working with God to keep like everyone that I've been assigned to in my flock basically like grounded.
Yeah.
So the other rooster, when he starts getting in his head, he stops crowing. And then the animals, the days and nights run together for them. They start losing a sense of purpose and like all this grounding. So I just found myself reflecting a lot on those like rhythms, like daily rhythms are really important. Like what lies you're listening to and, ruling the day. And so like what friends you have around you, things like that. There was a lot in there that I think is really good and reflective.
Well, I was kind of joking, but I do think in a lot of ways it does kind of sound like Inside Out 2, where these different lies that you listen to, sometimes the lies are your emotions. Yeah. So, like, because one of the scenes in Inside Out 2 that was very relatable was, for whatever reason, anxiety, because Riley had a big game coming up the next day. So she used Riley's imagination and it's like, okay, everyone in the imagination place, we're going to think of as many different bad scenarios that could happen just in case. So, and I think we do that ourselves. We are getting our imagination, and anxiety plus imagination that allows us to think of all these terrible things. But so it really comes down to like what you're filling your mind with and what you're listening to on a daily basis.
We talked about last episode.
Yeah, totally. But I think that does kind of form the person that you become, the things that you listen to and the things that you kind of take with you and you believe, because you hear the thing, like you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But I think now in kind of the digital age, I think that's also with content as well. Yeah. So whatever content you're consuming most of, you're going to start to listen and believe and take in those things. And then out of that, you're going to start to associate those with, well, that's the kind of person I am. And then out of that actually drives your behavior.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest things in this one was like, are your actions motivated by fear of the future and like anxiety, or are they motivated by love and kind of humility and sacrifice?
And joy.
Enjoy.
Well, and so, because that's a big reason why I wanted to do this podcast again, is because there's so much that we take in from the world, and a lot of times we don't even realize it's affecting us. And last episode we talked about how really it can affect us. And so that's why I want people, as they watch things and listen to things, of like, okay, what is good about this? What are the things that are pure and holy and all that stuff? That was the verses I read today. Like, whatever is good, whatever is pure, whatever is holy, dwell on such things. But then sometimes we'll watch something and be like, oh, that's not right, or that's bad, or why? And thinking about why do I think that's bad? And I think what Inside Out 2 did was help me to be able to have conversations with my kids about some of their emotions. And I actually did that today. I was talking with one of my kids and was like, hey, this is like an Inside Out 2. And they're like, grown.
You got to make everything into a message.
Come on. Yeah, because even after the movie, I was like, hey, what's the worldview? They're like, come on.
Again with the worldview.
But we have to think about these things because those movies are telling us stuff. And those books, like everything is telling us how to behave and how to live and how life works best. And if we don't ground that in God's word, then it's very easy to kind of bring in these things from the world that seem good at the time, or seem like, oh yeah, no, I'm just thinking through what's going to happen if I don't make the team, and what's going to happen if I don't have friends in high school. Like, I'm thinking through those things, but when we do it in an unhealthy manner, it's not good. So you recommend Book of the Dun Cow?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
I would say it's like middle school and up. So.
Oh, middle school and up. Yeah. All right. Well, hey, next time I don't know what we're going to talk about next time.
We're going to talk about something for sure.
Red Rising. I don't know. But hey, is there anything else? Any closing thoughts?
No.
All
right. Hey, everybody. I'm Chris.
I'm Adrian.
And I'm Jimmy.
And we'll see you next time.